And we're live.
Okay.
And you start stretching as soon as I hit the record button.
Of course. Probably didn't even catch it, but...
That was some loud pops.
Oh, yeah, but the microphones aren't that sensitive. Like, we're sensitive to the talking we're doing, but... Okay, so we're recording. Definitely recording a little late for this one, but...
Yeah.
Always better late than never. Keep it going.
You know what's sensitive? My feet next to the hot computer.
Yeah, this thing is kind of like a kotatsu, but all I can think of is, since it's just a computer case inside of a coffee table, it's like a redneck kotatsu.
Yeah. Looks good, though.
It does look good.
Alright, let's get this show on the road. We have a pretty busy show today.
Yeah, we've gone through a lot of stuff this past week and a half, something like that.
Yeah. This is 8 days.
Yep. As always, I'm Demix.
And I'm Shep. So,
welcome.
I think the first thing we're going to do is what I did this past Saturday, which was go down to the Cherry Blossom Festival.
Yeah, I was supposed to tag along, but I ended up getting caught up running my brother around town a few times, so schedules got busy and stuff, so whatever.
It's probably a good thing you didn't come because I made the mistake of taking Metro down to DC.
I would have done the same thing.
Because there's no parking in downtown.
I remember you sent me a text about something happening.
Yeah. So, let's just put it this way. We're about to go into a war with Russia. The metro's constantly on fire. So I decided to take take the metro downtown, closer to the impact point if we get into it with Russia and get nuked. Because I'm brilliant.
Oh.
And I paid for it.
Yeah, sounds about right.
Train so packed, even at Vienna, I can't get a seat.
Damn.
I have no balance. So when someone slams into the back of me because they have no balance, I spill out all over the train car.
Oh, that's terrible.
Not once, not twice, 5 times.
Wow.
5 times.
5 full times.
Because
Did people at least apologize?
No.
Of course not.
I apologized.
It's the DC metro area. Of course people didn't apologize.
I apologized in between F-bombs as I'm face planning.
But that's who you are. But it makes sense that I guess people in the DC metro area don't care about what happens to other people.
Yeah, and I was gonna throw a fit, but I didn't want to get up fighting on the metro.
You don't want to be another statistic on the metro. It's like being one of the people of Walmart.
But it's also the train operator was braking hard.
No, so not a great train operator.
Yeah, just constantly quick start, jackrabbit start, and then hard. It's like how I freaking drive, which is not in my car.
But it's more fun.
True. So I get down there, and they had to move where the Matsuri is.
Okay.
Traditionally, the Matsuri's in front of the old post office building. Well, a couple of years ago, the old post office building was bought by somebody. Well, more than a couple years ago.
Who's that?
Somebody who's currently the president of the United States.
Oh.
Yeah, the old post office building is now the Trump International Hotel.
Oh, okay. That's a good time.
And Trump did not want weeps in front of his hotel.
I guess that makes sense.
So they moved it down Pennsylvania Avenue to in front of the huge stretch of Pennsylvania Avenue. But it starts right in front of the Navy Memorial.
Okay.
So yeah, a festival celebrating Japanese culture starts in front of a memorial dedicated to the branch that was most responsible for the defeat.
Yeah, and by the defeat we mean dropping 2 atom bombs on
Well,
Japan.
that was the Air Force, but
Still, it's
Yeah,
it's a World War II memorial, right? Or is it just
no,
Navy in
it's the
general?
United States Navy
Oh.
Memorial.
Well, still.
There's a different World War II memorial.
Not necessarily the best way to
There's also
do a
the
cultural
Marine Corps
celebration.
Yeah, there's also the Marine Corps Memorial, which is a statue of the flag raising on Iwo Jima. So yeah, but yeah. So I get in there. It's hot. I was like, well, I could go for something hydrated, and instead of getting water, I proceed to drink my way through the entire festival.
That makes sense for you.
Yeah, I mean, the only beer they had was Kirin Ichiban, which is
Light.
I like rice lagers. It's an okay rice lager.
Okay.
It's not Sapporo.
I don't drink, so I wouldn't know.
So I just got a bunch of tickets, had a bunch of that. Then I also went to the sake tasting. So, I was blitzed. Hung out with my friend CY. Hung out with Shags, who came down for that from frickin' north of Baltimore.
Yeah.
Saw some good cosplay. Tried not to spend money because the Matsuri is pretty much evolved to be like, oh, here's some government contractors trying to bribe you, and then here's all the dealers at anime conventions.
Oh, that's amazing.
Oh, and then here's McDonald's trying to look good.
You mean McDonald's?
Yes, McDonald's with the ups.
No, McDonald's. Devil's a part-timer.
Oh.
It's an anime.
Well, I was going with McDonald's because every freaking anime, they just turn the arches upside down.
They actually call it McDonald's in
Yeah, I feel bad. Oh, look, we do a podcast on anime, and that just went.
And that's a fairly popular one with a good amount of people.
Is that what genre is that? Is it shonen-ish?
Yes and
'Cause that
no.
would explain
Not
why
really.
I'm not-
It's not really shonen. I feel it's a lot more slice of life comedy, because it's like
Yeah.
it starts out. You got the devil, and he's like the devil. He's a great devil. He's a demon type thing. He's like, okay, you got a fantasy world. You got the hero who's trying to slay the devil and save the world, but instead the devil uses some magic to escape into a different dimension, which happens to be Earth. And then hero chases. They happen to have lost their magic power, so now they're just normal kids. And yeah, occasionally they recover some of that magic power, but it's mostly about the devil as a part-timer working at McDonald's.
So, yeah, I probably need to watch it though.
It's definitely entertaining.
Okay. Is it on Netflix or?
It was. I'm not sure if
Okay.
it still is.
Yeah, because they do rotate them through.
Yep.
I have all the freaking streaming services. I have Hulu. I
Yeah,
have
you should be able to
Netflix,
find it.
I have Funimation. I have Crunchyroll, even though you can find everything on Crunchyroll on Netflix. Everything on Crunchyroll on Funimation and everything on Funimation on Crunchyroll. Because they have a cross-licensing agreement.
Remember, kids, support the industry.
Yeah, just look at how many figures I have. I support. It can't be said I don't support the industry.
Oh, it could. Anybody could say anything.
So, after that, yesterday, we were supposed to record.
Yep.
That didn't happen.
Instead,
Instead, we ended up just watching Disappearance of Haruhi Suzumiya.
yeah, we plowed through the rest of
And then-
Haruhi and got everything done that we wanted to get done for that review.
And then afterwards, after Demix left, because it was late, I got to watch the Caps choke again.
Yeah, what about that joke I always make? I always make it to piss you and the Boulder off, but because they're
It's not
hardcore
just,
DC fans
it's
and they
not.
love the Caps and they always do well in the season. But I like to joke about it, but it's also got so much truth to it that they
And
always
it's
just choke in the playoffs.
and it's not just the Caps.
Just DC sports in
It's
general,
DC sports in general.
except for the
Boulder
Redskins. Redskins just suck.
doesn't get as mad. He's not as beat down by it because he's just a Caps fan. He doesn't like basketball. For football, he's a Saints fan. He, he likes the Cardinals in baseball.
But you just get hit with it from all angles with every team.
Like every season just.
But don't worry,
blows.
you don't have to worry about the football because they're just bad all the time.
Yeah, until they until they rip off 8 wins in a row. It's like, yeah, we're on a roll. We're going to the playoffs, and the quarterback busts his knee.
And then you're like, there we go.
Oh, I almost got it when RG3 blew out his knee in that Seattle game. I almost got to a fight at Glory Days, because I was just like, there were Seahawks fans like their 12s are posers. Like, oh, why didn't you care about the Seahawks 10 years ago when they were bad? Like, oh, it's cool to wear the number 12, da da da. Owned by head of Microsoft. They're so cool. Like, no, F you. You're not a true fan. And then at the bottom were a bunch of Cowboys fans just there to troll and be, because this town's full of people who want to be different.
Because Cowboys fans, I guess.
Yeah.
Oh.
So off that tangent, just cursed, man. So
It's first on our actual list of things to do.
Dude.
Oh no, we got through the first one, so.
yeah, we got through the first couple of things on our hit list. Do you want to talk about the story I found, or do actually, since we just brought it up, do you want to talk Haruhi?
We could just jump right into Haruhi.
Cool.
We've got a list, doesn't mean we have to do it in order.
Yeah. So we both finished up in our different orders. The Melancholy of Haruhi Suzumiya, and then I subjected this asshole to Disappearance of Haruhi Suzumiya.
But that was actually good.
It is really good.
It's like it was a step above the rest of the series.
I've I would actually, I'm gonna just give my score for Disappearance right now.
Yeah, because we're gonna rate Haruhi and the movie as two separate things.
Although we should do a thing now, separate from our Golden Age anime reviews. Now we need to just finish out all the media for the franchise.
Just a whole Haruhi review, or?
Yeah.
I mean, we can.
Because next is the disappearance of Nagoto Yuki-chan, which is that alternate world you've seen in Disappearance,
Okay.
except changed up a little bit because of Disappearance. And then there's also the Melancholy of Haruhi-chan, which is 5-minute web animations.
Alrighty then.
The animation
Sounds
for
like-
Melancholy of Haruhi-chan's not great. They did it. It's cheap 3D animation,
Ah, fun.
but that adds to its charm.
I'll take your word on that one. We'll see how that one pans out later.
I actually haven't seen the Disappearance of Nagoto Yuki-chan because every time, or Disappearance of Yuki Nagoto-chan, or whatever. I haven't seen it because I just get pissed off that there's no more Haruhi.
You can't finish it because that means it's over.
Yeah. And meanwhile, I was like, I do the light novels, except Naguru Tenegawa, the author of the original light novels, has turned into George R.R. Martin.
Just killing off all the characters.
No.
Sex scenes.
No.
Dragons.
Won't write more!
Dragons.
Like, oh, I'm writing the next book. No, I'm not. Yes, I am. I've run into some writer's block for years.
What about the writer of Berserk? Who at this point we firmly believe is dead And they took so long to start making more because they had to retrain a new person to draw exactly like him.
Is it Berserk on hiatus again too?
Yes.
So it took so long to train the new guy that he's dead now.
Yeah, no, he's dead. No, they're training up a new guy. It's going to be another 8 years.
We joke, of course.
Of course, we
Halfway
joke.
joke.
This is jokes, but it would be really sad to find out if it was true. But it'd also be hilarious to find out our theory was true.
The best
But also
part
sad.
about Berserk is, like, its manga's amazing. The 90s anime was amazing, and that's just a freaking prequel.
Yeah.
The best part of Berserk.
Is the frying pan sword?
No. Is the fact that the new anime was apparently so bad it drove Luke to read the manga.
No. I don't think that's what drove Luke to read the manga. That just made him despise it because he'd already been through the manga.
Well, Luke doesn't read manga.
Yes, but this is one of the very few that he has read.
Yes, but he started, like, he was waiting to read the manga. He told me this. He was waiting to read the manga until after, like, the new anime came out. Because he wanted to get to where the anime was. Like, end of the anime was, so he didn't have to read as much. And then the new anime,
probably after the first episode.
Yeah, he found he punched out so quick of that, just said, F it, I'll read the manga. It's like, Luke, reading?
Yeah, he does that on things that are genuinely good because all of the art, like 100% of the art for the Berserk manga is just genuinely quality.
Luke, in general, reading?
He does that sometimes.
Very rarely. Not since we were in high school.
I don't know. But yeah, so...
Enough making fun of our co-panelists.
And Berserk.
So, Haruhi, the series, I thought I was going to round it down because I was going to push it down, except Endless 8 wasn't as bad as I remembered.
Yeah, like I watched Endless 8 on my own before the first time we reviewed it on our last episode, but yeah, everyone's always said, I've always heard, mostly from Shep, but also from other people, and it's kind of been a terrible thing around the internet, like the dark corners of the internet. Everyone's like, oh god, Endless 8, it was so bad. But it's like, the thing about it wasn't that it was bad, it's the fact that if people were watching it in broadcast, but like while it was being broadcast, suddenly you go through a part of the season, and then half of your season is now just 8 episodes of the same thing?
Yeah, that was enraging when it was coming out.
I can understand how that's enraging and obviously more traumatic to somebody, and you're obviously going to be like, okay, screw this, I hate this, because you're watching that. But as somebody who
killed
just...
the franchise.
Yeah, I was able to just like plow through it in a couple nights while watching it like on my own time, and then I was like, okay, I was able to see the minor differences between the episodes and see what they were doing, and it was actually kind of interesting that I could see all of that happen so quickly. But it's like, yeah, I definitely understand people's so terrible, the reputation and people's terrible opinions about it.
Yeah.
And thus the rest of the series.
So what I did to like watch it was like I listened to it technically, although I would peek down in traffic on 66.
Yeah, but you've already seen it like time and again.
Yeah, so I would just glance down to see, oh, this is important.
You're just simply watching it as a refresher.
Yeah. But
I'm watching it for the first time.
Like every time like Kyon doesn't do his frickin' homework, I'm still like back in high school, like, okay, what's the next step? Endless again! They're actually doing this! Goddamn Kennedy!
Yeah, but at the same time, I also understand why he didn't do his homework. Oh yeah, for those of you who don't know what Endless 8 is, time loop, it's a 8-episode time loop where they literally play the same episode with minor differences in animation and dialogue.
New animation, they re-recorded all the dialogue, new script, same plot points.
Yeah, it's the same exact thing though. It looks almost the same, other than the girls wear different yukatas and different swimsuits every time.
Well, not just the girls for swimsuits.
Oh yeah, not just the girls. We get some nice Speedo action on our boy.
Koizumi. Because You gotta have the Bishonen character. You gotta
Exactly.
appeal to all the demographics.
And then there's the art festival where he's just in a play, and all the ladies there are just there to look at him and not actually care about the play.
That
And it's
separate episode, that's actually was in the original broadcast, but you didn't see that because you
'cause I watched it out of order.
you watched it chronologically order.
I watched it in order, out of order.
So speaking of orders, I got it on Blu-ray because I had first season the Bandai Entertainment release. I just wanted to have it all in glorious HD,
Yeah,
especially since I have a Blu-ray player in a 4K TV.
that makes sense.
I wanted to see it. I want to see it. One of my favorite animes in all its gloriousness. So on the inside flap of the DVD, it has like, oh, here's the original DVD order. Here's the the original broadcast order. Here's the chronological order. Here's another order because F you.
Yep. There was 4 separate orders on the back of the DVD cover.
They're just straight up trolling us.
Yeah, it's about how it goes.
So what? Rewatching it. I'm not gonna. I'm not gonna round it down too bad. I gave the original score a 4. I'm gonna give it a 3.5.
Yeah, I think I'll stick with my 3.5 for the original, for the actual show itself.
Yeah.
I'll stick with the 3.5 because it was nice, but it was just like kind of all. It was what it was. It was a solid show. Endless 8 was interesting for me. I can understand why people would hate it, but it was kind of a drag out thing because it was 8 episodes.
In a way, it was making a point. They were doing it for the art at that point.
Yeah,
They were making a point about how all anime has become the same.
essentially.
It's a rehash of itself, which Kyoto Animation is kind of responsible for. They're best known for moe shit. They got it started with FMP Fumofu and Haruhi Suzumiya. They have the most egregious examples in Lucky Star and K-On!, both of which I like, but
Yep, this is true.
I don't like K-On! Because it's moe. I like K-On! For the music, which we don't get enough of!
That's the point. Which, K-On! Spawned from the art festival episode
Yes.
of Haruhi. Which, the songs that they play in the art festival, top notch. Those are just good songs.
Lost My Music is probably in my top 10 songs.
It's funny because I knew both of the songs, and I've never watched Haruhi before. Because, back in middle school, somebody handed my...
high school.
No, for me, it was middle school.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
We got a
I forgot.
We got a
I
CD.
forgot Art Festival. The lead up to the Art Festival was in season 2 because screw you. But the film they showed at the Art Festival and the actual Arts Festival are season 1.
Because things make sense in the broadcast order of Haruhi. But
I love the broadcast order, just all over the place.
it is an interesting thing to bring up because it's all over the place there. But it's back in middle school, someone gave my brother a CD of the only Japanese music we had access to at the time because the internet wasn't big enough. We didn't we had LimeWire, but not enough to get around, and we didn't know what we were getting. So they gave us the CD with a bunch of music, and there was a few things on there. Among those were the Haruhi songs and a couple others, but it's those were there. So it's I've known about them for so long, and I'm these are some good songs, and now I know where they came from.
You just took me on a trip to the past real fast. Trip to a fast.
Oh yeah, burned CDs and passing them out to friends.
Yeah. Just LimeWire.
Oh yeah, and LimeWire. LimeWire and burning CDs for your friends.
I'm just remembering, you'd be trying to find a download on the Nutella network of just one song, and then you download it off LimeWire, and you find out that they've dubbed over half of it, just so that it doesn't get taken down. It's
And then your song isn't actually a song; it's a virus, and now your computer has herpes.
Well, I was a good computer user, so I never got that. My father, meanwhile, I hate virus
Yay!
removal
Oh,
so
LimeWire.
much.
We miss you, but not really.
Yeah, at least like I know I was a little young for like worse things like Napster and Kazaa.
Yeah, I wasn't around for much of that either.
Back
I remember Napster, but it's like I never really used it. Like I saw it around.
when those were still a thing, like Napster was, I was in middle school. Well, I mean, I was in elementary school, so. But Kazaa was like, I still had dial up. I wasn't going to tie up the phone line for days for one song.
Just get a second phone line. Obviously, that's the solution. That's what we had to do with.
Dude,
Oh, we didn't have to take that long with our dial-up, but we did have dial-up when we were using LimeWire. So every song was
oh
a struggle
god.
because we.
Did you at least have a 128K modem?
What's a modem?
I'm
We
get out.
No, like I don't think we actually used. Like we plugged directly into the phone
That
line.
has your computer has a built-in modem.
I have no idea then.
Okay.
I don't know. I was too young to know what was in the computers at that point.
Magic. That's what's inside.
Yeah, exactly.
Uh,
Or I just didn't care enough to know. I could have known, but I just didn't care enough.
yeah. So yeah, disappearance. Um, I think I was gonna give it a 5, but like upon further review, like 5s are sacred.
Yeah.
There's enough things in there that like there's enough minor quibbles that like I can knock it down to a 4 or 5.
Yeah, after going over it in my head, it's like it was a very enjoyable movie, and there was a lot of feel-good moments and everything, or feel-sad moments. Just so much sadness about some of those characters. It just pounded me right in the feels.
Poor Yuki.
Yeah, all the sads for Nagato right now, just all over the place.
Although it's fun to see Kyon like be the Haruhi of this other world.
Yeah, until he finds the Haruhi, who is also Haruhi.
Spoiler alert, dude.
Oh, whatever.
Oh, it's 2009. Hey, guess what? Eris dies.
It's almost 10 years
Snape
later.
kills Dumbledore, but it was Dumbledore's plan all along.
That's the thing about this. We're doing Golden Age of Anime reviews, so spoilers are going to be a thing. I guess we could probably announce it beforehand, but it's Golden Age of Anime stuff. So if you haven't seen it, you're in for some spoilers probably because we're going to talk about it.
Disappearance is better if you like don't know everything.
Yeah.
That's probably why like when I watched it years ago, I probably I would have given given Disappearance a 5 then, because I loved it. But like just watching it now, it's just like ah ha ha, God, still crazy, ah ha ha.
Yeah, he definitely had some moments there, and he was losing it a bit. But for me, it's like, given everything, it's a solid piece of work. It's great. It gave me all the emotions that I didn't even know I was expecting. But
it almost saved the franchise unless they killed. Unless they
killed it. It did too good of a job of killing it.
It did create the spin-off. But after the spin-off, they said, oh, we're going to do a pachinko machine, which means dead!
I guess that's how that works. I don't know.
Unless it's like Evangelion or Gundam. If they release a pachinko machine for an anime, the anime is dead.
But in case of Gundam and Eva, they just make everything for those. Because
they make buckets for Eva. And chick razors.
Yep.
And have theme parks.
And Bullet Train.
They're about to shut that down.
They had it, though.
Yes.
It was a thing.
Which is funny, because you know why they did the Eva Bullet Train?
Because phallic?
No. This is... Never mind. The girl Toji dates or is into Hikari. She's the middle sister, so she's named after the second bullet train. Her older sister's named after the slowest bullet train, and her youngest sister's named after the fastest of the three bullet trains.
Okay.
So, like, it feeds into the theme naming.
I see.
It's like the pilots are usually named their last names come from destroyers, except for Shinji. Yeah, in original Asuka, the scientists usually have carrier names like Ritsuko Akagi, Kyoko Zeppelin Soyu.
Okay,
So
then.
that's one of the reasons. I'm just gonna get into this fan theory because it feeds into this. That's why I think Mari is somehow related to Asuka because they have a similar name format in the new series. Mari is Mari, illustrious Brit carrier, Shikinami, Japanese destroyer. Asuka is now Asuka Langley, American carrier, Soryu, Japanese carrier. I mean, not Soryu, Shikinami, Japanese destroyer. Soryu's original series.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like a sign. Like, the name changed, but there's this other character that has the same exact name format. It looks similar, has some of old Asuka Soryu's personality traits, like being batshit crazy. Can sync with Ava Unit 2. Actively shipping Asuka and Shinji, but also into Shinji.
Yep. That makes sense. But as far as I go, Shep gives it a 4 out of 5 for disappearance, and I'll just give it a solid 4 because it's quality production.
Well, 4.5 for me.
Yeah, that's what I said. 4.5
I thought
for
you said
you.
4 out of 5.
Or I might have said 4 out of 5, but 4.5 for Shep, and I'll give it a 4 out of 5 because it's good stuff. Not necessarily up my alley, but still very quality. So I'll just slap it with a 4.
Well, this is just like all the reviews. We're throwing reviews out like some people make it rain.
Well, I mean, right now we've only reviewed Haruhi, technically.
Technically.
It's like we talked about things. It's not
Yeah.
necessarily the same. And our Haruhi quote-unquote review is, as far as reviews go, probably very substandard. Because we don't hit on points that most reviews hit on. And it's like, oh yeah, we're just kind of winging it. We're just talking about the show and what we liked and some things that might have been not great or whatever. Then we just kind of give it a rating. It's like, I guess that's how some reviews do it, but it's like they hit on more facts, I feel like.
But I think we're kind of trying, like, we're going to talk about stuff that's important, but we're not going to... I feel like we're trying not to spoil it too much.
Eh.
Because a lot of reviews these days spoil things.
That's kind of how it goes.
So it's just like, don't spoil it. Like, now I don't want. Why should I watch the movie now? You just gave away the freaking thing.
I guess that's true.
So next up is what we chose to review, Redline.
Yep, that was the next thing on our list. This one was something that I didn't know was the thing for a long time, and then when I started drinking the Redline energy drink, it was not related to the movie here, the anime movie here, but
the joke started.
It's just a product because Redline on a car, you know, the Redline name is an obvious brand for speed or, you know, energy drink there. Then Shep started making Redline references, and I was like, what are you talking about? Like, and then he was like, how have you not seen this?
Why have you not seen Redline?
So then I started watching Redline, and that's just a good movie. All around good movie. It's like the animation, while like different, is very, very quality. They put so much time.
You know why it's different? 100% hand drawn.
Okay.
So they could have done a lot of the CGI stuff and probably could have done it for cheaper, but
they did it all nice.
They did this as a passion. They knew they were going to lose money. And it ended up being so good that they actually kind of didn't.
Hey, you know, pleasant surprises.
At least I don't think they didn't lose. I don't think they lost money. Don't quote me on that.
It's probably close.
Someone's gonna be like, "Oh, they lost money," and it was like, "Well, it put Madhouse on the map, so
It was probably close enough for them. So
yeah."
they're not dead, so they're still around. It didn't
they're-
kill them, and that's what's important.
Yes. So it wasn't like when Gynax had like 5 projects go down the tubes before they even got on TV.
Oof, that's
which
rough.
led to Evangelion.
Which is supposed to be a swan song.
Yeah. Funny how a lot of things become really popular that are supposed to be swan songs.
Yeah, it's funny how people give up. They're like, okay, well, we're going out, so let's go out with doing something we like. And it's like, oh, you mean doing something we liked and that we're passionate about made people actually care about it? Wow, that's amazing.
Like Pokemon,
Final Fantasy. Supposed to be a swan song, but, turned into the biggest game series, like, ever.
One of the biggest.
I'm not saying biggest as in, like, necessarily popularity, but biggest as in number of games. There's so many games.
That still print money.
Yeah, they still print money. It's like, hey, it's got a Final Fantasy label.
And cross over into another series that just prints money.
And now you have Chef Bay. Ignis in 15.
Yeah. I have the special edition of that game, and I still haven't opened it. Because I'm a fuck.
Oh, don't worry. You'll just crash the flying car when you open it.
It's like, I also, like, I have Final Fantasy 13 X2 and, the last Final Fantasy 13. I want to play them. Because I like Final Fantasy 13. But I always end up like, I like the story of Final Fantasy 13. I do not like going down the prettily painted, but ultimately long, dark hallway. I start trying to rush through it, and then I get to a point where the first Sid fight, I am so under level that I just can't possibly beat it. And I suck at video games, but I am so under level, it is literally impossible to beat it.
Oh, yeah, because I played through 13 myself, and yeah, that's rough. Because it's like, at first, in the beginning, you're fighting everything, because you're forced to fight everything. And then you
which
can
is
start,
annoying.
yeah, and then you can start skipping stuff. So most people start skipping stuff. But then, by skipping stuff, you start being very under-leveled, because you're probably still supposed to fight everything.
And you're also supposed to grind, because it's a JRPG.
Yep.
That's the one. I love JRPGs. I hate, like, I get to a point that it's just like, I can't grind anymore.
Yeah, I know that feel.
Unless the grind is interesting. Like, the NBA 2K series is the best JRPG, and it's a JRPG because it's a grindy RPG with an interesting combat mechanic. Except the combat mechanic's very interesting. Even though it's not So it's a JRPG, except it's a sports game.
Okay, well,
Made by 2K.
getting back to our review of Redline.
Yeah,
Redline was hand-drawn, didn't put him in the toilet, might have lost some money, but all hand-drawn, looks very beautiful, and really well done for what they did.
I'd say a really good story.
The story, it's a good story, definitely a good story concept.
But they do, like, you could tell, like...
There's mistakes here and there, as with anything.
I wouldn't say mistakes, but there's like, okay, we're rushing through this.
Yeah, it's obvious.
This is where they said
it's not necessarily holes, but it's like, well, they definitely pushed through it, and you're missing some details.
Yeah,
it's like it's not plot holes, but it's just a lack of explanation on certain things that could be explained more.
And then they pad out other things.
Yeah.
So it's just like there's about 30 minutes they could have cut, but they could have added another 20 minutes. Just because they chose to do things in a certain way that were running like it felt like we're not going to compromise on anything, but we're not going to compromise on anything, but we needed to find a new way to do this than what we wanted to do because we're running out of money.
Yep. Yeah, but
there are no badly animated shots.
There is not any badly animated shots, and that's part of the appeal of this. It's so pretty all the way through.
It's
because they poured so much time and effort into it.
Yeah, you
But
can tell they bared their souls.
as far as the plot itself goes, it's a, as we said before, it's a racing anime or a racing anime movie.
Sci-fi racing anime.
Yeah, sci-fi racing anime. So it's like a futuristic racing thing. Everybody else is using like hover cars or really weird, kind of like a wacky races sci-fi anime thing. It's like you got different, except for a few different alien races. There's like some dog people and a few different other races, but it's like you don't really get many names of races, but that's not the important part. You get some here and there as you can pick up on while you're watching, and it's the good details that they added that are just kind of side like thrown in there just as like an afterthought. But so there's details you can pick up on. But yeah, wacky races, sci-fi anime race
Main
movie.
character looks like Elvis and drives a Trans Am from
He looks like standard weird
He's got
guy. He's got the pompadour in the front, like the ridiculous
jacket,
anime
pompadour.
Not just the pompadour, the ridiculous anime pompadour that's like excessively large. I'm not talking like some extra, because there's some animes and things that do it intentionally over exaggerated, but it is just standard, slightly over exaggerated anime hair.
Until he activates his nitro, and then everything stretches out, especially his pompadour.
Yeah, but that's just how the animation is. So the
Speaking of pompadours, there's this old meme about guys who dress like that in Japan, which is an actual subculture. Except, like, there are two guys like that arguing. One's obviously horseshoe baldness, but he's gelled and grown out like the rest of his hair to the point that he's got the pompadour over his horseshoe. And it's him like it was just effing massive, like anime massive, and he's poking his head up arguing the guy, and someone just captioned the image, "You talking shit about my waifu?"
Oh, that's great. But yeah, continuing with Redline though, it's like, so animation solid, the plot is racing, like kind of wacky races in space, sci-fi anime, and
but there's also like,
so it's like it's a racing league series, not just like, okay, this guy's going around, he's gonna win races. It's like, no, it's an actual racing league, and there's an actual Grand Prix type thing going on. He's trying to qualify for the big race.
well, Redline,
But it's not necessarily about qualifying for the big race. It's about the big race at the end, but it's about also because like part of the plot line is just that he and his
hold on a second, just to expand on that. The race Redline is kind of like the it's kind of like Le Mans, where it's just one. It happens every 4. The race happens like every 4 years, like the Olympics. But Le Mans happens every year, and you have to win. You have to win or do well enough in certain other races throughout the year to qualify for Le Mans as a driver.
Yeah.
And as a team. It's also the Redline race looks to be inspired by the Dakar, which is traditional. They moved it because of things in the Mideast. It's traditionally from Paris, France, across, like, includes a ferry trip or a trip across the bridge, or sometimes it goes all the way around through Turkey. Sometimes it went all the way around, like, through Turkey and Asia Minor to across the Suez to South Africa, to Johannesburg, South Africa. And it was the Dakar's like the most it's one of the deadliest races because they're crossing the frickin' Sahara.
Yeah.
So Redline seems but they had to, because of things that happened politically, they had to take the Dakar on the road. Currently happens in South America.
Okay.
But the fact that it has to go on the road to a new venue, it's something you have to qualify for. It's like a combination Le Mans. You have all these crazy cars. It's kind of like a combination Le Mans Dakar. And a lot of times the only people who win are the ones who survive.
Yeah.
Just like the Dakar and the Le Mans race. 24 Hours of
And
Le Mans.
as you say that there, I definitely see more of the references in it as you're pointing them out there, because they do end up going to a hostile world, which it's just they end up holding the red line in a different place every time they hold it. It's kind of just how they didn't outright say it, but they do insinuate it with the fact that they say this year's red line is going to be held here, or they're going to announce where it's going to be. So they obviously change it up, but it's on a militaristic world, an isolationist militaristic world. So they're like, no intruders and nobody outside our world. We're just gonna kill everybody else. And then Redline openly announces, hey, we're gonna race it on that world, which is Robo World.
Which is how the main character gets it. Because the main character, I'm not going to give away the plot, but something happens to the main character that he loses the race at the beginning, the yellow line, which is like an all-world, like 24 Hours of Daytona, or the previous year's WEC races.
Yeah, despite not winning the first race, he ends up getting into the race anyway, and then he gets like, and they're all like, oh, it's on Robo World, so it's all about deadliness there, because obviously they're using their entire military to hunt down these racers. So you got to survive as well as win the race. And generally in these races, you're allowed to mount weapons and shoot the other racers. So it's just like, that's why I say kind of wacky races, because the cars are crazy, and
except the main character, Scarwich.
Yeah,
he literally kind of crazy.
He literally drives everybody other than the hyper cars, they're like, oh yeah, hover cars, super cars, literally magic cars.
He's got a Trans Am.
He's got an actual Trans Am.
He has a Trans Am.
Like 4 wheels and an engine. Which, obviously sci-fi modified with super engines and whatever, but...
Speaking of the engine, one of the most realistic things, I didn't pick it up when I originally watched it in the sub, but I think this actually makes the dub better when I picked up on it. Like, you can't put that engine in there, it'll kill you! Wait, you got this engine? Bitchin'! Like, just that reaction to, like, oh, this is an engine and it'll kill you. Bitchin'! It's like, that's the most realistic, like...
That's how it goes.
Reaction.
It'd be like the gearheads having a fit. It's like, you can't do that! We did it, though! Damn, that's cool!
In my head, it's just like, this has so much power to kill you, and I just hear it in the back of my head.
And that's the kind of a thing.
Jeremy Clarkson going, power!
Yeah, but it's like, there's just so many like small things like that, and it's just all around so good. The sound, and also the part. Let's pull it up. Can we pull up that audio? Like,
which audio?
I think you know what audio I want.
Do you want the actual theme to the race, or do you want the yellow line theme that's at the beginning?
I want some bass pumping up in this.
That's both of them! Which version
doesn't matter.
Do you want?
The yellow line one then. Whichever one you think was cooler. It's fine with me. But here's just the one of the songs, because the soundtrack is just top notch. On top of the animation.
Yes. That's very loud. They're not gonna hear. There we go.
Okay.
They can hear us now. But yes.
But yeah, just a pumping bass line for these racing scenes. And it's just like, it gets your blood pumping, it gets you into the race. And I'm just having a great time as I'm watching these cars zooming at like super high speeds, because they're just like futuristic supercars and whatever. And everybody's shooting at each other. The crowd's going wild. Like, the crowd's there for the blood sport as much as they are for the race itself.
But they're there for the race.
Yeah, they're all race fans, and it's technically race, so everybody's a race fan. But so many people are there for blood sport as well. It's funny, they even jump into an alien, like, standard suburbia family home, and it's like, oh, I wonder who's going to die.
One of the things, like, was like them going crazy because all the cars go fast. Because last year I had the opportunity to go to Firecracker 400. I don't know what it's called. It used to be called the Coke Zero 400 until Coca-Cola said, we're not doing Coke Zero anymore. It's Coke Zero Calorie or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's the 4th of July, the NASCAR for the July race. So we couldn't afford tickets up at the top where you can see the entire racetrack. So I said, well, I'm gonna get front row tickets between turn 4 and the finish line.
Yeah.
So we get to see, like, the final move at the end of the race.
Exactly.
That's where you want to be. But also, like, front row, you had to wear, like,
The ear protection and everything else.
like, you got the...
Yeah, and you definitely get that rush in Redline because so many times, anytime you pass by, it didn't only happen in Yellow Line because that's where they were able to have spectators because Redline was on Robo World and no one was allowed on Robo World, so you didn't have the spectators there. But in Yellow Line and the first, like, you see the spectators there, the cars zoom past the spectators, and everybody's just silent for a moment, and then everybody erupts into cheers, and as they regain their they're using the major racing thing like international races and the big races around the world with all the fast supercars because those are the big names in the racing or whatever, and that's what racing people will get. But there's also Japanese mountain racing, drifting, and all that.
But there's also
which they also throw into the movie.
There's also a big NASCAR influence. Big character, big muscle car, big engine. Racers putting each other in
bigger hair.
What?
Bigger hair.
Well, that's not so much NASCAR.
That's anime.
That's anime. But racers putting each other into the wall, running from the cops. That's what NASCAR used to be before it went corporate.
Yep.
I mean,
you're a racing fan of
Jeff Gordon,
specifically NASCAR, yeah.
But like the pre-Jeff Gordon NASCAR, where you see what all the bootleggers racing. So.
Speaking of that, though, have you watched Cars 3? Goddammit.
No, I haven't.
Like, they got the moonshiners and everything.
I
like,
know.
you need to watch it.
I know. I need to be in a mood for it.
Okay. But yeah,
MX got me Cars 3 for my birthday.
because while Cars 2 was a spectacular shit show, like, not even that's all terrible. It's just terrible. That's just a bad movie. Cars 1, nice, like classic racing stuff. You know, it was still a Disney movie, but Cars 3 came back to that. It in a vengeance. Like, it was so much stuff. Like, I don't know much about NASCAR or anything, but I could see the references and everything that was obviously a reference.
The problem is
it's like I've been around Shep long enough to understand what things are actually referencing, what else. Like, I understand how things are laid out so I can know see what these references are.
I think the
tell the feel that they were going for. Like I have a hard time describing it off the top of my head, but it's like the music just gives it such a good like sensation in the racing and everything else.
A couple of the songs are remixes of
Very
other
similar
songs.
to what the Eurobeat does for Initial D.
Yeah. Like, watching is just like the only thing that would have made it better soundtrack wise is if they snuck some Eurobeat in there and they stuck some high paced country or rockabilly in there. Which, by the way, when JP gets called rockabilly trash, I was on the floor dying because it's like, this is the feel that they're going for. The makers of the dub know what the animators were going for.
But all in all, that's just an amazing racing movie. It's like, even if you're not necessarily a fan of the racing, if you like sci-fi or anything like this, like then I would recommend picking it up, watching it. It's just a movie. It's not even it's not too incredibly long.
It's only like 108 minutes, and there are a couple points that it does drag, but it's only 108 minutes. It's not that long.
Yeah, you'll get through it before you even know it. But solid movie, solid animation, like amazing animation, all hand drawn, all beautiful. And soundtrack top notch. Like I'm gonna give this a 4.5 out of 5.
And I'm gonna give it a 4 out of 5. Partially because I think Disappearance is a better movie.
Yeah. And this one's more up my alley, so it's something I can feel better towards. But I'm not gonna slap a 5 on this because as with anything, it's got its mistakes. It's hard to actually slap a 5 on it. If I actually ever slap a 5 on anything, I want to make sure that thing deserves it.
Yeah. Not including anime. I think I only have 3 5s.
I don't even know what I would have for 5s all in all.
My 3 5s are The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance, the John Ford directed John Wayne classic, Casablanca, which is probably one of the greatest love stories ever told, and Your Name. I think the Japanese name is Kimi no Namewa or something like that. But the English release is Your Name. Which most 5s I can only see once in a while because they're emotionally draining. Your Name was it's lighthearted enough that I saw it every day for 3 weeks when it had a US release.
Yeah.
And there's oh, we're only gonna show this once, and it's just everybody keeps coming to re-see this movie. We're gonna have it forever. I wish they did another re-release of it because every time I went to it, the Caps won. It became a thing. It's sad. My anime fandom's tied in my sports fandom, but I don't really like sports anime. Every time I every time I would be oh, the Caps are playing tonight. I'm gonna go watch Your Name and then go next door to the bar and watch it. Watch the second half of the Caps game. Or I'm actually going to the Caps game tomorrow. Time to go watch Your Name. God, I must have poured $300 just going to see that movie on tickets alone. I saw it so much.
Okay then, so that about covers everything on our list.
So, what are we gonna do for our next review?
I don't know. Do we want to hit up a review for next time, or do we want to try to come up with a different idea for...
Oh!
Because we did throw around early on, in the first episode or something, about doing other things to interchange it. I don't know if we actually talked about it in the podcast, but we definitely talked about it while we were there, about changing it up, maybe doing the review every other week or every third week, and still running it every week, running the podcast every week, but instead of doing the same thing every week, we would change it up to give it some more...
Yeah. And that'll give us time to do
it'll give us time to review information and also do more content, different content.
Yeah. So I think non-Golden Age, because I consider I kind of cut off Golden Age at Disappearance of Haruhi Suzumiya.
Yeah.
Because that's the franchise that killed anime. Endless Eight killed anime.
Anime was a mistake.
Yes. So I think like we should like try to watch as much of Disappearance of Yuki Nagito. Let's just finish out the freaking franchise.
Yeah, we'll finish out the franchise on that.
But for actual review, I think we're gonna. I think it's my turn to pick.
At that point, yeah, it's your turn to pick one.
I'm gonna go ahead and pick. I'm just gonna pick the first season of it. We can go back and do the second season later. But the second season of this show has definitely a different feel because it happens a couple years later.
For which one?
I'm gonna go with Gundam, Mobile Suit Gundam 00.
Gundam 00. Okay.
Yeah.
So I got to rewatch it.
Oh, you've seen it?
Yeah, I believe I have seen it.
Cool. Let's do that. So let's do that in like 2 weeks.
So you said second season or
what?
Which one did you say?
First season.
First season.
First season's actually kind of my favorite.
That's Alleluia Haptism and all of them, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen. I don't know if I've seen all the movies.
Original Gangster Lock On.
Don't think I've seen all the. Yeah, definitely original Gangster Lock On. But I don't think I've seen all the movies. If there's multiple movies there.
There's a movie.
Yeah.
The movie's not great.
Well, we'll see how that goes. I'll have to rewatch it. It's been a little while since I've seen it, but I was part of my trudge through the Gundam series, which I started but never got through entirely.
I wanted to do something that I know, like there are a couple of things I'm keeping in my back pocket because eventually you have to do a bad review.
Yeah.
What? And eventually we're gonna come to a show we disagree on.
I mean, fine. If we want to do a bad review, I've already got an idea for mine for the next one I do.
Like at one point, there's a couple of things I'm just keeping in my back pocket which I haven't seen, but I haven't seen because I know they're bad.
Yeah.
Like Kanazuki no Miko, I know is bad.
Mine was a Netflix anime release.
That's not Golden Age.
I know, but it's still something I could. We don't have to do everything in the Golden Age. We can pull a few things out of the Golden Age, especially if we want to just do a bad one.
Let's wait until after we do this.
We'll get a few more episodes in before we jump into something else like that. But just dropping a name, it involves Jaden Smith and giant toll roads.
I've had multiple people come up to me and say, "Oh, this is actually a decent anime." It's like the concept actually like.
It's entertaining. I'm not gonna say it's a good anime. I'm gonna say it's entertaining.
I guess now that you're kind of explaining this, like it seems like the concept of trying to get across is interesting, but also something that pisses me the f off.
Yeah.
And now I'm not going to watch it because I don't want to get mad.
But it was definitely entertaining, but just all kinds of batshit insane.
Oh, this is has all these political themes. Like, no, I want anime to escape that.
But it's like bad. If we want to talk about bad reviews.
Although I do like the Gun Gale online arc of SAO because of my political leanings. I really admit.
Just because you have politics in anime doesn't mean it has to be. It can't be a little tasteful.
Yeah. But there's always Gundam is highly political.
Yeah.
But it's not. But it's like the better it's the better Star Treks, and by the better Star Treks, I mean
Voyager.
Get out. By the better Star Treks, I mean things that aren't the two-headed monster of Brennan Braga and the other guy who was the executive producer of Voyager and Enterprise, and not Discovery. It's done in such a way it makes you think, but it doesn't take away from the story. It's not smacking you in the face with it.
Okay.
And one of the best TNG episodes is highly political. It's called The Drumhead. There's a couple of DS9 episodes I really like that were originally very political and then ended up being interpreted as being even more political in a post 9/11 world, and they're excellent. But they're not smacking you in the face.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense. And one of the reasons I like DS9 is it's pushing the same agenda Star Trek always pushes, but also has the other voice, and there's an actual conversation going on in that show.
Between
It's mostly
Cisco and the Borg.
No. The Borg don't show up in DS9 because the Borg are afraid of Ben Sisko's mother effing Pip-Bam.
But yeah, so we decided on our next review.
Yeah.
Oh, great. Okay. That's gonna be in there at the right at the end. We get a phone call.
Especially since I don't have Adobe Premiere yet.
Yep.
This is staying in here.
So yeah, let's just enjoy this glorious ringing real quick. Nice and ring. Okay, but yes, we got our next choice for our anime. The first season of Gundam Double Zero.
Yeah.
And I guess we're all done here. Talked about everything we wanted to hit today.
Yep. So we'll see you next week.
It's the KiltKast signing off. I'm Demix.
I'm Shep.
We'll see you next time.
Have a good night. Good night and good luck.